Hello there. I thought I would do a walkthrough of some of the course information that way we can save a little bit of time when we meet in class for the first time in week 1. We're going to begin looking at the syllabus, some of the most important pieces of this, and then we'll look at Blackboard as well. So hopefully you're enrolled in the right class, Social Studies Strategies in the Tahlequah section. And here is my information with my office hours. And notice that I am very, very accessible. I am on campus quite a bit. I'm also very accessible by email. So don't hesitate to email me anytime if you need to talk to me and I'm not in my office. Notice that we do meet 13 or 14 times altogether, and every time it's via Zoom. Now, if you have your laptop and want to come to campus, let me know, and we should have a classroom available for you to be able to use. So be sure and let me know. Also notice that we only meet on Tuesdays. We don't have any Thursday meetings. So yay, that's good work time for you. All right, and I have checked everyone's prerequisites, so you're all good there. Do read through this information about the College of Education and about the Curriculum and Instruction Department, about our elementary education program. And I do realize some of you are special ed majors, and also specifically about the course purpose and goals. What is it that you're going to be doing? What are you going to be learning about? How are you going to be assessed? Lots of that information can be found here in the syllabus. So this all explains quite a bit about the course. And then student learning outcomes. Notice that all of these are written as objectives, and I have bolded the verb so that you have some examples here that you can use as you are writing objectives. This course is actually designed for students who are taking their pre-2. This is intended to be one of the very last content courses. However, I realize that in Tahlequah especially, because of the scheduling, that many students take it much earlier than that, and that's fine. Just be aware that you will be writing a very in-depth lesson plan, and that's something that some of you have not experienced yet. You also may not have very much experience in writing learning outcomes or objectives. So this tells a little about what we do in class and about Zoomikit, which we'll look at shortly. Notice that the textbook is, we do look at it some in class, but that is primarily your responsibility for making sure that you're staying up with the reading. There will be times when I will reference something from a particular chapter, and there will be just a handful of times that we will actually use the textbook in class, but it's primarily your responsibility for keeping up with your reading. We will use Blackboard lots and lots. Here are some of the larger overarching activities, projects that we'll do. You do need the textbook. It's up to you whether you get it as hard copy or a digital version. Do what works best for you, but do have access to it regularly in class. We will have 1,000 points possible unless there's some slight kind of change, which could happen depending on inclement weather or if a particular opportunity arises or something like that. So this shows you how much the different assignments are worth. Notice that you have 2 down here that are worth 100 points each, and some of the other larger assignments are worth 80. And then you have regular, what I call SSC entries that you'll do over a variety of topics, and those address concepts that we don't really have time to spend during class. So you can think of that as being the second half of what we might do if we were meeting for a regular face-to-face class. Read through the policies here, particularly the attendance policy and the email expectations. The handbook here, I posted this part in to explain the importance of absences and the importance of not having absences and being in class regularly. I don't know if you're familiar with the term self-plagiarism. I actually was not familiar with that at all as an undergraduate. And it means using the same work from another class for this class without permission. So, for example, if you took social studies another semester and you did some work, you can't just copy and paste that and submit the same thing. You're expected to do authentic and updated work. Also, if you, let's say that you created a lesson plan in another class and you only have to tweak it a little bit for this class, well, depending on the assignment, that might work, because for a couple of assignments, you can do that. But for the ones where you are developing a lesson plan, that won't work. You're not supposed to do that. Keep in mind that professionalism is something that is an expectation at your level in a 4,000 level course, and you're preparing to be working in a highly professional field with other people, and you will be communicating in a variety of ways. That includes emails and the ways that you speak and address others. Did I already put the email policy and guidelines? Seems like I did. Did I? No, I didn't. Okay, sorry about that. So if I have sent you an email and you have a response to that, just hit reply. But if you have a question about something unrelated to that, then you need to begin a new email and give it an appropriate subject, so that if we need to find that email later, we can both go back and search for that subject. Use appropriate greetings, and make sure that your writing is done in something of an academic nature, not in what we used to call text speak. Zuma kit, again, we'll look at that in a little bit. You're probably familiar with these parts of the syllabus that you see in all of your courses. And if you need a kind of support that you need to be successful in class and you're not sure where to go, definitely let me know, and I will help you however I can, and try to get you going in the right direction for that. Course concerns or complaints, if there's something that you're unhappy about, this goes back to professionalism. It is your responsibility, and it is a professional expectation that you address this appropriately. And that means talking to me. I promise I'm not that scary. I don't bite hard, and I rarely bark. So talk to me about it if you have a question or a situation. Okay, now for the biggie, the class calendar with assignment due dates. Your reading and SSC entries and assignments, those are expected to be done prior to class. And using the weekly module will help you stay on track and will help me stay on track as well. I expect you to view those modules at least 2 or 3 times a week, possibly even more. And here I talk about how to submit your assignments, because I don't open links to documents for a few reasons. And then notice that typically your assignments will be due on Tuesdays at 2 o'clock. There are a couple of exceptions that will show in your syllabus as well as in the weekly modules. Just get in the habit of having things read and having things submitted by Tuesdays at 2 o'clock. Something that I have added, a student complained that we weren't doing anything to prepare for the OSAT Part 2. That I guess that student wasn't really making the connections that I had thought they would be making. So I've made it a little easier here for you, in that I am adding the 4 competencies of social studies that are assessed on the CEOE Elementary Subtest 2. So for each assignment over here, I have linked it to one of the 4 competencies. Notice over here on the left side, the highlighted yellow, those are the dates that we meet via Zoom. And you'll see later on down in the semester, there will be a couple times that we don't meet. So this part will have your readings, your chapter readings and things. And then over here, what assignments are due. So for this first week, we'll come back and look at this, but you will have your very first SSC number 1. You'll have that one due for week 1. And again, we'll look at that when we go on to Blackboard in just a bit. So then for week 2, you should have read chapters 1 and chapter 6. And I point that out to you in the module. Presidential artifact bag. This is a fun activity that we will look at very briefly, but it will be available for you to read through and see what you want to do and select your president from the list. You can see I've bolded over here what the assignments are that are due. There's a big one due week 4, where you are going to become a historical Oklahoman. And you're going to give us a presentation as that Oklahoman, but you're going to record it. Unfortunately, we don't have enough class time since we only meet those 13 or 14 times. We don't have enough class time for you to be able to present to the class, although I wish we did. All right, lots of information here. And notice here that in week 9, we will start working on your key assessment, which is an inquiry lesson plan in pieces. And I give you a very specific outline of the pieces of what is due, which time, and then we will do some peer review. Once you have finished the complete rough draft, you'll have time to revise it and edit it, and then it will be due the following week, week 12. And after that, you have one more big project, and that's the oral history project, which for many students ends up being a very meaningful project. I hope it will be for you as well. And then here I have my land acknowledgement, which we might talk about briefly in class, and the disclaimer that things can change. I don't plan on changing anything, but we never know what kind of situations are going to take place. Now to look at your class. Beginning on start here, this is the page you'll see, and notice down here I do have the calendar linked so that you can see what assignments are due, what dates and times, things like that. Your syllabus will be posted under here. When you click on announcements, and this is what your page will open to. Wait, was that announcements? Let's see. Okay. No, I'm sorry. I had those mixed up in my head. So for the start here, do read through this information. I give you some very explicit information here. And then again, here's my information with my office hours. Now, here's a biggie, the learning modules. These are what you need to go into regularly and look at. So I'll show you the one that's open. For week 1, I start off giving you lots of information having to do with assignments, things that we're looking at. Here I refer to the presidential artifact bag, which we'll look at briefly down here. There is a back to school webinar that I will be participating in, and I hope you will as well. I'll show you that information. 2 things on discussion board that you need to look at very, very soon. One of those has to do with the mini lesson that you're going to teach. You'll be selecting the branch of social studies, such as history or culture and language or economics, and you'll select a grade level. And then another part you need to look at is a virtual museum tour that you will be giving. These will begin during week 3 and they'll stretch out through the semester. So what I do with this and the social studies lessons that you teach, I have you select your lessons first and I plug those in. Then I set your dates for your virtual museum tours so that you're not doing both at the same time. I stagger those out a little bit. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, check this regularly. Read chapters 1 and 6 prior to next week. Now for the iCivics webinar. Whoops, it's over here, isn't it? Did I not load it in there? All right, apparently I didn't load it in there correctly because I know I copied and pasted it, but where did it go? Where did it go? Did it show up? It did not show up. All right, I will look at doing that again, but it is a webinar on Tuesday evening from 6 to 7 Central Time, and it is about the great resource that is iCivics. I really suggest you try to listen into that if there's any way you can. The presidential artifact bag, you are going to sign up for a president, and and then you will be put into groups and you will have some items with you. We'll look at that a little bit more in class, but this is a really fun activity and it's something that can be used in many different ways in just about all grade levels. And then here is your first SSC entry. So let's look at this. I've given you the prompt here. I'll just show you how I have it set up. I've given you a link to the Oklahoma Academic Standards, OAS, and this goes specifically to social studies because you're going to be looking at 4th grade and you're going to be providing sources for your 4th grade class to determine, is it best to live in Anchorage, Seattle, or Phoenix, and then they will have to support that and draw conclusions. So that is going to be due on week 2. Let me make sure I did that right. Is that week 2? Prior to class. Did I do that right? Yes. Yes, so that'll be due August 22nd, and you will have a rubric with it. You can look at the rubric and see how that is done. I have it set so in case you mess up and need to submit again, then you've got a couple of attempts to do that. Let's look at the discussion board now. Oh, wait, before we do that, let's look at your student resources because this is going to be very helpful to you. I have put all of your larger assignments here under course assignments. And notice that they say instructional video. That means I either have one that I've made a previous semester that I'm going to link there, or I'm going to create one for you. I'm not going to give you a video for the virtual museum tour. That's just a 25-point assignment, and I've given you written directions for that as well. So I don't think you'll need a video for that. But for these other ones, I will have some videos for you. All right, now let's look at discussion board. So a few things on here now. It is open for you to go ahead and look at your list of virtual museum tour and decide what you want to do. And then in the subject line here, you're going to put the name of the museum that you have selected. It does not have to come from this list. If there's something that you're particularly interested in and the museum has clear connections to social studies and you can share educator resources with us, then definitely go ahead and use that museum. It can be anywhere in the world. It can be in Oklahoma. It can be in Saudi Arabia. It can be in Japan. It should be in English. I think that would be very helpful to all of us if it's in English. But your objective in this is to share with us something that we could do in the classroom with our own students, since we're not going to be going to visit all of these museums. What is available online that we can access? Here's information on your peer teaching. Here are those five strands that you can choose from and the dates that those lessons will be taught. And then on this Google document, I've asked you to do 2 things, and one of those is to go on here and, oh, that's the BA one. Whoops. Okay, I need to fix that to the Tahlequah one because our class is smaller. So you'll sign up on there and then put in the subject line. Let's say that you pick geography and you want to do 3rd grade geography because you really want to teach about Oklahoma. And 3rd grade is where Oklahoma is taught. So that's what you would put in the subject line. I do have a video down here for that. And then here's information about the lesson itself, as well as under student resources. Also information here over the key assessment, and there will be a few more entries over here on the discussion board. Please write down any questions you have, any comments. Take some time before we meet for class on Tuesday at 2 o'clock and make sure you have a pretty good understanding of what's going to take place in the class, how it's organized and everything. And that way we can look at any questions you have, we can talk through those and make sure you're feeling pretty comfortable with what it is we're going to be doing this semester. So, all right, I'm looking forward to seeing you virtually on Tuesday and almost every Tuesday for the remainder of the semester.